Hey Oceaneers, it's Liz from Instagram and TikTok at Cruising the Magical Seas. I'm really excited for my first YouTube launch. I'm excited that this interview is actually going to be with Sarah from the Disney College program. So look out for also interview number 2, where Sarah's actually going to turn the tables and ask me about some Disney Cruise Line experiences and secrets I've never shared before. So follow her YouTube channel at Rethink Your Childhood, and that's again her YouTube channel is Rethink Your Childhood for the interview part 2 that we're going to have. And also follow her Instagram and her YouTube as Rethink Your Childhood as well. Come, let's splash into the magic. Follow me for the interview. All right, well, hey, Oceaneers. So I'm Liz, and my Instagram account is Cruising the Magical Seas, and also I'm on TikTok as Cruising the Magical Seas. Thanks for joining me back here. So I've been working with Disney Cruise Line since 2012, but I actually have the pleasure of speaking with Sarah. She actually worked the Disney College program, so I'm actually going to be excited to ask her some Q&A, and also some of that Q&A is from our Instagram polls that I pulled together over the last week. So I'm just excited to see who's the better cast member. Is it Disney Cruise Line or is it Disney College program? So let's put our pretend Mickey gloves on and let's battle it out, Sarah. But let's splash into the magic. So I'll have Sarah introduce herself and a little bit about her Disney College program, and then kind of go into a quick let's Q&A and what your role was and how it affected your experience and how it affected for your future career.
No, that sounds great. And first, just thank you so much, Liz, for having me here.
Yeah.
I love talking about my programs. This is great. I think.
Yeah.
But a little bit about myself. So my name is Sarah. I am currently in college. I'm studying economics and film, and I did the Disney College program in spring of 2019, and I did it in Walt Disney World in Florida.
Okay.
And I did merchandise, but I had the kind of unique merchandise role where I wasn't just doing register stuff. I was actually in Epcot Park Arrivals. So about half the time I was doing stroller rentals, which does include cleaning strollers, renting out ECVs. And then at the end of the night, around midnight, we got to the parking lot and we get all the stray wheelchairs. So that was a lot of fun. But I met Liz through Instagram. I'm trying to get a YouTube channel started up right now where I just kind of analyze Disney films, talk about some Disney controversies, and we'll be sharing some more story times from my experience. So if you're interested in that, check that out. It's Rethink Your Childhood. It's the same handle on Insta. And I'll actually have an interview interviewing Liz about her wonderful time with DCL. So if you're interested in that, head over to my channel and check it out.
Yeah, head over to channel to see part 2 and see who won. Is it Disney Cruise Line or Disney College program?
You have to let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to start out with asking you some questions, just kind of some basic, because I know you worked in the Disney College program. So I'm curious to know oh, what's your favorite theme park? And then what's your favorite Disney hero, villain, or princess? So I just want to start off by asking some the basic how you got into Disney, what attracts you to the magic kind of thing. So
yeah, no, that's a great question to start with. I would say what first got me interested in Disney was the every Friday and Saturday I'd have movie night with my family, and I'd say 70% of the time it was a Disney movie. So I got really into the animation in particular, which you can probably see my
I love
Pixar in the back. So I think that's where the appreciation for Disney started. And then of course when I was in college, I eventually want to do something in business, but in the media industry. And I was Disney's perfect and I love it. So I was looking for internships and then came across the Disney College program. And I said, this is a great, way for me to kind of get my hands dirty, work in the parks. If I want to kind of be on the back end one day, I think it's great to have that kind of front end guest facing experience. And what else did you ask me? My favorite characters. My favorite movie is Ratatouille.
Yeah, I saw that behind you, and I was it's either Ratatouille or it's gonna be Monsters.
Yeah, it's Ratatouille, but I can't say my favorite character is Remy the Rat. Maybe the characters I most admire probably Princess Tiana and
Correct. Is it Disneyland or Disney World?
Disney World. So I was in Orlando.
Awesome. And then what park were you mainly working at for Disney World College program?
So I was based in Epcot. You have your home location. So I was Epcot Park Arrivals, which included stroller rentals, a store called Gift Stop, Gateway Gifts, Camera Center, and Pin Central, which is a no more. It's
Yeah.
since been demolished.
Yeah.
But you're able to pick up shifts elsewhere. So by the end of my program, I think I picked up in 16 other locations. So I hit all of the parks, Everland and Magic Kingdom. So
Oh, very cool. All right,
yeah.
so we'll splash into the magic, and I want to get
Yeah.
right to like. So Sarah already mentioned like her role. I wanted to ask like, what was your reason for your like DCP role? Like, did you have previous experience in merchandise,
Mhm.
or like, what are your? I know like my like people who are DCM alums said like they had three top like dream DCP roles. Like, what were your three DCP dream roles that you wanted, or you could have, or what you did?
Yeah, so I think the only three that I put down that I would want to do was merch, attractions, and Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, which
Yeah.
I just think would have been fun. I'm not honestly not great at like hair or anything. Probably wouldn't have been the best
Oh
choice,
yeah,
but I thought it looked like a
fun.
like you can see my hair's a mess today. But
Yeah.
it seemed like a fun way to really like interact with guests one-on-one, and really make the magic. And I thankfully found that in merch. I think a lot more than I was expecting. And then attractions, I also thought that would be fun, like especially if you get something like Jungle Cruise or Haunted Mansion. But you can also end up in parking, so it's a little risky. So those are my top three, and I'm so happy that I ended up in merch. I think you asked if I had previous experience with retail work, and I did not have any retail experience. It's my
Yeah.
first time working a register. And I think the experiences I did talk about, though, that related was like babysitting experience, or
Yeah.
I did research at my school, like with the education department on childhood development. I talked about that. I
Yeah.
also do this thing where at school, like at night, I'll go out with a partner.
Yeah.
This is with the safety department, and we walk people back to their dorms when they
Yeah.
request it. So
Nice.
that's like social skills, I suppose. So you don't have to, have worked in retail if you want to do merch. You
Yeah.
don't have to have worked at a restaurant if you want to do
Okay.
service. You just have to display like you are a sociable person
Yeah.
who wants to be there.
And you're very interested in the program.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly.
And then I wanted to ask because like I know you come from the Disney College program. I come from the
Mhm.
Disney Cruise Line background, and I feel like they could have some similarities there that we can like discuss when we close up here. But
Yeah.
like, what are the living arrangements like? And then like, did you have a roommate? And then how many roommates did you live with?
Yeah. So the living situations are, I believe there are 4 apartment complexes that you can be put in.
Mm-hmm.
And in all of those, you will have a roommate. And in some of those buildings, I want to say 2, maybe 3 of them, you're actually going to be in a triple. So
Okay.
I was living in this place called Vista, which is the oldest, like the biggest kind of original housing complex. And Vista was only doubles. So I believe I was in a double and with 3 bedrooms. So that was our living situation. So there's 6 girls. And I mean, it was totally fine. There were 2
Yeah.
bathrooms, 2 fridges. We became really close friends. So I mean, it
Nice.
was lovely. There were no issues.
Nice. And then I wanted to ask like how did you feel about like I know you said about your roommates, like you just described them, like how you felt about them, how you got along. Um how or what were your feelings about being away from home? What was this your
Mhm.
was this your first experience being away from home or not? Like just tell me
Mhm.
more about that. Like what were your feelings about being away from home for was it for a semester? How long were you with DCP?
Yeah, so it's just for 1 semester from January to May in 2019. And I mean, luckily, it wasn't my first time being away from home, though I will say I think a lot of individuals who were on the DCP either went to colleges that were maybe commuter schools or just very
Mm-hmm.
close to their houses. So it was a very big move for them. But
Yeah,
I was already used to just being like too far away from my family, right?
yeah,
And then, so that transition wasn't too difficult for me. I will say one thing that had me a little nervous going into housing was a lot of Facebook pages get started ahead of time. So if anyone's
mm-hmm.
interested in doing the DCP, this is good info to know.
Yeah,
Where people will try to find roommates ahead of time, and you can
nice.
like do this thing where you link up with people, and I think you're guaranteed like 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah,
And I just like that stressed me out, so I just didn't even bother with that. So my fear was that I was going to go in and then end up in a house where everyone had already linked up, and then everyone else was already friends, and then I was kind of just this odd one out. But that I will say that 3 of the girls in my apartment were already linked up, but like none of that clickiness ended up happening. Like,
Yeah.
so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
was like, it's funny we said like the clickiness. That was like my next follow-up question was like,
Yeah.
how would you handle a roommate disagreement? Like
Mm.
I can't imagine because you guys have more, I guess my POV for this question was like, oh, on the cruise ship, we have to deal with it because you can't go anywhere. Like you're there. You're there. So I was like, but at least you can like walk away if you need to like go somewhere and take a walk. But I
Oh,
just wanted to know,
totally.
how did you handle or did you have any roommate disagreements? Like,
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, I don't know if this is unusual or not, but I think I got really fortunate and we didn't
yeah,
have any roommate disagreements. I mean, like, were we all best friends? You know, who I still talk to? No, I only still talk to one of them really, but we're all still, friendly.
that's good.
That being said, I believe that Disney housing does have support for you if you are having really bad roommate issues. And I think
Yeah,
that they will work with you and your
well,
roommates to
that's
either
good.
figure out new living situations or not.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's so cool. And then I know we mentioned like and as we listen to like the part two of this, it'll be Sarah's turn part two for interviewing for Disney Cruise Line. But I wanted to ask because you asked me, are your meals included in your DCP? What are the employee and like incentives, and then what are the employee benefits? I guess to like wrap up in one, like what are the pros about it? Like what do you guys get for the benefits and
Yeah.
the meals included?
Yeah. So I will be upfront. It is most people I spoke to did not really make money at the end. I would say they netted negative actually. And that's because the housing gets pulled from our paychecks every week.
Mm-hmm.
Our food is not included, so I just go grocery shopping every week. And then you get an employee discount. So I believe 40% off near the holidays and then 20% off regularly. So there's just like a lot of incentive for you to spend your money on that Disney merch that you're around all day. So,
Yeah.
most people I think go a little nuts. You already aren't saving that much. I think you're making minimum wage basically. And yeah, so don't expect to save a lot. I would say if you want to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
See some other benefits. You get some really neat, I think, employee only things. So I got to go on a backstage tour of Dinosaur, which is a ride in Animal Kingdom, which is
Oh,
one of my favorite rides of all time. It was so
cool.
cool. We got to do like the final ride through, got to walk on the track. They
Mhm.
showed us everything. So that was a ton of fun. And then at the end of the program, they do something called Starlight Splash, where they essentially close down the water park, and then it's just all DCP members, and they have like free
Oh,
food and Mickey bars, and
that's
you
so
just have a
cool.
great time with all your friends.
Oh, that's so jelly. I like to have the park to myself.
It was wonderful.
I'm sure the crew members on the Disney cruise ships, they're saying that they have the cruise line to themselves. So that's so interesting how our universes have parallels so much in all this. But to
Mhm.
move over and like furthermore, I wanted to ask like, so what has been the most like memorable, magical moment you've ever created for a guest, or what's been an interesting like guest interaction or story, like the magical moment and like the best interaction you had with a guest?
Oh, I mean, so many, and I'm not just saying this, so many wonderful interactions,
Yeah.
Um, a lot of them surrounded pin trading, which, for anyone watching who's not familiar, Disney sells a lot of pins.
Mm-hmm.
I have my pin board. It just happens.
Oh, let me see, because I've been wanting to get ideas for like a pin bar. Oh, okay.
So
It's like
I
it's a
don't,
frame. Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I have it on like a frame, and then I shouldn't have done this. I put the map of Epcot behind it, but it makes it kind of messy and hard to see. So I'm going to fix that.
But it's so
Um,
cool. Is that the map of the Epcot in that pin frame with the pins?
Yeah. So I
That's
collected a
genius.
bunch of maps, which is one thing I'll tell you. When you go to the parks, always pick up extra maps. Always great to use scrapbooking. I have so many
Yes.
random maps in my
Well, thank
house.
you for that tip. Next time I go, I need to do that because I have my pin collection, like of the Disney Cruise Line. I have all the Disney Cruise Line pins from all the limited edition cruises we do, and I was like, you gave me an idea. Maybe I should do like the printout of the map of the world and then put it in the picture
Yeah.
frame with my pin.
Yeah.
So thank you, sir, actually for that. Thank you. So you heard if you are a pin trader out there, yeah, check out Sarah's tips there. That's really interesting. You should do a
Yeah.
YouTube video on that. Can you?
I I guess I could. I know it's there's some way more
Yeah.
serious pin traders out there, but I
Yeah.
know
Oh my
what
gosh.
some people do is they'll take a map. They like to collect pins like of attractions, and then they'll like pin the attraction pin like on the map, which is
Wow,
pretty
they're
fun.
serious. I
Yeah,
like
they're
pins,
serious.
but that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and a lot of money. Pins are
Um,
expensive.
that's that's a lot. Ugh. And then
Um,
and then Yours, so you're saying like the magical moment for the gas.
Yeah.
What was like the best
So
one?
a lot of them do surround pin trading, because
Yeah.
like I was saying, I was nervous that merch would be very transactional and just like, hey, let me check you out and okay, you're on your way. But
Yeah.
so much of it
Yeah.
is like I've had multiple like half-hour conversations with guests, right? And one pin trade I remember in particular was with this little girl. So I had just gotten this like beautiful like Tinkerbell pin, and I was like, some little girl's gonna want this. So I kind of just like took it off of my lanyard and like tucked it away. And I'm like, I'm gonna wait. Like, I bet you someone's gonna walk up. And about an hour later, a little girl dressed up as Tinkerbell comes along. And I'm like, okay, this is it. So, she comes up to me and I don't have the Tinkerbell pin on me yet. So I'm, showing her my pins and you can tell she's a little disappointed. And I was like, wait a second. I think I just heard Mickey. I think Mickey may have just like come by. Like, give me one moment. And then I step back around like to the
Oh,
register, find the pin, pull it out, and I was like, look at what Mickey brought you. Like, do you like this pin? And her like whole face, like her
oh,
mouth dropped.
Sarah,
It
that is,
was just
you
so
are so
cute.
precious, and like what a moment for them to have for like a lifetime. They'll remember that forever, and that's why I'm so glad we're doing this because
Yeah.
like I mean there's like we'll admit like there's no like winner or loser here with which better like Disney park operation is better here, like the cruise line or
Yeah.
like Disney college program, but that's what we have here in common so much is like just the magic. Like I mean
Yeah.
to take the time and not like make that in a rush, like that made their lifetime like memory ever.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it made their day. It certainly made my day. I
Yeah,
think that's another thing. It
so
really is
cute,
two
Sarah.
ways.
You were so
Yeah.
good. And then I wanted to ask her, like, in the apartments you talked about, I know you mentioned to me as well, like, is there any, do you guys get Wi-Fi? Like, I'm sure, like, you get reception, but I was just wondering, like, if Wi-Fi came with the apartments.
Yes, Wi-Fi is included.
Oh,
Wi-Fi and utilities are included
nice,
up
nice.
front.
And then I wanted to ask, so, like, I know you talked about a merch, but, like, and I know you mentioned it previously, like, a little bit in the beginning, but just to, like, give us a more in-depth, like, can you like walk us through a schedule or walk us through a day of like
Mm-hmm.
what your role was a DCP, like starting from like, oh, you wake up in the morning, brush out your hair, I don't know, listen to some music from Mulan, like get into your like how do you get to your Disney energy zone? Like how do you hype up yourself? Like, okay, we're making magic, let's do it. Like walk me through that, all of that.
That's a great question. I will say as a DCP uh, cast member, you are kind of at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to scheduling. So expect
Mm-hmm.
like wonky shifts. Expect very irregular shifts, like no 2 weeks look the same, and expect late. I think I was lucky. My most common shift was 5 p.m. to 11, but I know a lot of people who work on Main Street had shifts that were like 8 or 9 p.m. to 2 or 3 a.m.,
Okay.
which I did work one of those once, and it was pretty rough, but it was also really completely empty after in the middle
Yeah.
of the night. So I tended to have the 5 to 11 shifts, slight variations here and there.
Nice.
And I would say most days, like I would just kind of get up around 11 a.m., maybe go grocery shopping, maybe just watch some TV or hang out with my roommates. But maybe about half the time,
Mm.
especially later in the program when I started to make work friends at my work location who had the same hours, we would choose a park and go there earlier in the day and then leave around like 3:30 and then just drive over to Epcot to be at our job. So that was so much fun. Exhausting, like waking up, being there for rope drop, and then not finishing work until 11.
Oh my
But
gosh.
so good.
We have so many similarities. Like, we'll definitely have to, like, when we wrap up today, we'll have to
Yeah.
definitely talk about all our similarities because this DCP sounds so much to DCL. Like, if I can just like put a nit point on that, like
Yeah.
big time, so much.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask, like, what's the reason did you want to work for like DCP for the Disney College program?
Mhm.
As we mentioned before, like a little bit in part two, part two will be, Sarah and me chatting, Sarah asking me about DCL, but like, what made you feel like compared to like applying to Disneyland or, Disney Cruise Lines or Disneyland or, like what made it like Disney College Program, Disney World and not the other things?
Yeah. I mean, I think first and foremost, it was the flexibility with being a college student, right?
Mm,
They had a very nice like program in place where unfortunately my school didn't allow us to get any college credit, but I know some individuals I think do get internship
yeah.
credit for participating in the DCP. And then the reason why I wanted to go to World as opposed to Land was because I think the program is much more robust in World.
Hmm.
I believe there were 6,000 of us, if I'm not mistaken, who were in
Wow,
the
that's
DCP at
awesome.
any given time. And I think there's only 300, someone correct me if I'm wrong,
Oh, wow,
at Disneyland. So I just wanted
that's
to
awesome.
be where like more DCPers
I want to
were.
be where the people are. I want to
Exactly.
see. I want to see them dancing.
Exactly. There's a
Oh,
Disney quote for
oh
everything.
my goodness. No, so yeah, okay. So then you just said that. So that's my big question. Also, there's 6,000 in for the Disney College Program and Disney World. I had
I
no idea.
Someone please like correct me, but
No,
my
that's
belief
cool.
is there are, but that might include ICP. Is that what they're called? There's like
Yeah.
international college programs, so a lot of international students would also come. So I believe it might be 6,000 with both of them combined.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really good to know. So that's the really like brand information I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask I wanted to ask like if you can walk and talk with me through the interview process for Disney
Mhm.
College Program. Like what does that look like? How many interviews you have to do? What are some questions do you remember that they asked you that you could give us as tips to, if someone is, listening to this and they're like, hey, I really want to apply for DCP now because they had a good experience. Like, what does that all look like? Like interview tips, what interview questions do you
Right.
remember? And then my big one I wanted to ask was like, did they ask you about any like tattoos or body modifications?
Hmm. Yeah. So the interview process was a couple different steps. From what I remember, you first submit your application, which I think is
Mm,
relatively simple. It's like submit 5 work experiences or something like that. Then you wait, and I guess if they, I don't know if a computer reads that or what, if they accept that, then you go on to a web based interview. And that's more of a personality test and just like, in this situation, I would feel, and then it's like the strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. And some tips I have for that I've heard from other individuals is you have to be consistent, right? Because they'll continue to ask you kind of the same question worded in a different way. And then try your best if you can to pick the strongly disagree or strongly agree answers. I think that middle grounded like murkiness isn't super great. So that's just some web based interview advice. And then a computer, I think, reads that. And if you somehow pass through
mm,
whatever algorithm that has, you'll set up a phone based interview. So
okay.
and that's when someone from Disney actually calls you. And I think it's maybe half an hour, maybe 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and just kind of talks to you, and it's a pretty standard interview. So they start with the tell me about yourself. They ask you, of course, why Disney, and you need to have a very strong response for that. They do ask you other kind of logistical questions, such as, are you okay working out in the heat? Are you okay being outside on your feet? And then, like you said, they ask you, do you have any sort of like piercings or tattoos? And so I don't have either, so it was an easy question
Yeah.
for me. But I, certainly had coworkers who had tattoos and piercings, and I think you just
Yeah.
have to. I think women can only wear like one earlobe piercings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure if they allow men to wear them yet.
Mm,
And then tattoos, you just have to cover up with band-aids.
yeah.
So, or however you want to cover them up. So they just have to be
Yeah.
coverable, and they just want to make sure like that's part of the Disney look. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And then I wanted to ask, so like thanks for walking us through like the interview process for Disney College Program, but I wanted to ask like what does Disney mean to you? Like when like in general, like what does that mean to you? And when you hear Disney, like how does that make you feel? And how do you hope it makes others feel?
Yeah. I mean, again,
I know
it's
it's
one
a
of those
powerful
questions that's
question.
hard. Yeah, it's hard to put into words, but I think at least the first words that kind of come to mind for me are certainly progress and innovation
Mm,
and just I think like creativity because everything Disney does is exactly like love and happiness.
yeah.
Everything Disney does is
Mm,
crazy like advanced, and they have scientists and computer scientists and
yeah.
business people and everyone working for them. And I love that how they're all everyone comes together to do it
Absolutely.
kind of for art and entertainment, right? And
Yeah.
that it's
It
okay
really
to
is
spend.
though, Hana. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that's what the DCP and then DCL, like we have that majorly in common. We support each other and like,
Yeah.
and all that. I really like that. Oh, that really makes me make me cry on the inside, Sarah. That's a good one. And then I wanted to ask, like, how did the Disney College program, how did that help you professionally? Like
Hmm.
preparing yourself for the future, like for your future career goals, or like how did that help you meet your long-term career goals? Or just it could just be short-term goals or in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, being in a merch role, it really helps to refine your people skills. Um,
Yeah.
because you have to be on your toes for however long your shift is.
Mm,
And you have to have a smile on your face no matter what a guest throws at you, right? Because
yeah.
they can
Yes.
throw out some pretty wacky stuff.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Do
Look
I have
for part
stories
three.
for
Look for part three on that, okay? If you click part
that?
three, you have to subscribe to Sarah's channel. We rethink your child, and then you have to come follow me on Instagram, and we'll do a part three about some myth behind the magic
Yeah.
series kind of stories there.
If you want to hear about all the times I was crying on the job, subscribe to my channel.
Yeah.
But what was I even answering?
Oh, how to help you? Sorry,
Oh,
I know. Like, let's get back on track. On track. No, like, how did the Disney College program like help? How did that help you professionally, like, to
yeah.
prepare you for your future career and like either in
Mm.
film or economics or like your long term career goals or your short term career goals? Like overall, like, how did that help you professionally in general?
Oh, in so many ways, but you really do have to be the one to kind of put in the effort. So when I was down there, I tried to do a ton of networking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I, scoured LinkedIn all day, tried to find alum from the university I go to who worked at Disney, set up a ton of informational interviews with them, met up with some people who just like worked in kind of behind the scenes roles, like finance roles at a, in the parks, and you make such lovely connections with them. I still speak to one individual who introduced me to someone out in the studios in California who I was then able to meet with when I was out in LA for an internship last year. And you just make such wonderful connections, and people
Mm-hmm.
really are there to help you. Like, it's a wonderful community and they want you to succeed, right?
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. I love like I love how you just like wrap that all up. Like it like professionally, like Disney College program really prepares you. Like it gives you
mhm,
like a little bit of that magic to prepare you for your future
yeah.
goals, and that's amazing. I like that. That's a good answer. And then I wanted to ask you, like, before you started the Disney College program, like what was it that you most looked forward to the Disney College program? Like you got the letter of acceptance, yay, you found out, but like what was that day or was that feeling like if you can walk me through like when you opened that letter, you got the letter of acceptance or however you heard, like
Mhm.
what was that feeling of like, oh my gosh, it's happening, like just in general, how was that day, how was that feeling, like all the magic, I want to know everything about it, like.
I feel like this is going to sound way less magical than you hope. I was taking a nap in my dorm, woke up, checked my email, saw it, was like, cool, and went back to sleep.
That would be me,
um,
that would be me too.
no, but I I think what I love so much about the program is, I know this sounds a little bit cynical, but I think unlike a lot of individuals who have really known about this since they were young, or a ton of people from their school go to it, it's not a thing where I was, and I'd only found out about it a few months before I applied. And
Mhm.
the only reason I actually applied was because I was hoping to get a Disney professional internship, but usually they
Yeah,
only take like juniors and hires. So I was like,
yeah,
what's a way I can show my, dedication to this company that I adore?
yeah,
So I was like, okay, this is going to be for the resume, for networking. And
yeah,
then when I got there, like, that all changed.
yeah,
And it was the people. Like, I didn't think I was going to make friends. I made
yeah,
lifelong friends. Like, everything
absolutely.
that I thought it was going to be was different and in the best way possible.
Yeah, and I just like I love how you said all that. Like, and I feel like that's what when a lot of people like to paint a picture here to like bring it back to that, like what you just
Yeah.
said. Like, a lot of people don't know like when you work for Disney, like Disneyland on California or wherever. Like, I just feel like if you work for a Disney company in general, you feel that ohana and that support. And you make lifelong term friends. And like I found that with the cruise on as well, and you found that with the Disney College program, which I think that's another big similarity we
Yeah.
have. And I think that's great that you found that as well too, because I think some people, depending on how they feel about the job or whatever, sometimes they don't want to be open and not find that. But if you're open, you can find that. And I just feel like I'm so glad that you found that in the college program, because that's essentially what it's all about, creating those memories with each other and then with the guests, but having that lifelong term friendship as well. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask to follow up with that as well. Like, for the Disney College program, is it open to college students overseas, or is it just for US citizens only? I just wanted to understand, because I know there's a Disney culture representative program, so I didn't want to mix the two, but then I was curious myself
Mm-hmm.
exactly what is the participant look like? Like, if you participate in this program, like, do you have to be US citizen, and like how old?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the DCP, just under that label, is for US students. And those typically are like, I think 4 to 8 months, depending on if you do like a semester or you extend your program or whatever. And then there's ICP, which I think is International College Programs.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
believe those are longer. I believe those might be 6 months. They could be 4 months. And so there are a couple of people in my area who are doing the ICP. So there was one individual from New Zealand, one from
okay.
Australia.
That's
Um,
amazing.
I believe someone was from Spain, and then someone was from Mexico. And then, so there's a good number of ICPs participating. And
Oh, that's
what makes
awesome.
them different from the cultural representatives, or the ICPs are basically just international college program students.
Yeah.
And then I think the ICPs are individuals who are staffed around Epcot's World Showcase. So
Yeah.
like someone from China, will be placed in
Yeah.
the China Pavilion and will
Oh,
speak both languages fluently and be there to
yeah.
answer any sort of questions guests have about China.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome, because I'm so glad you taught me that, because that's something brand new I never knew. Like,
Mhm.
you're teaching me more and more about the Disney College program, and it makes me feel like I wish I did it. Is there an age limit? Can I still go back and do it, even though I'm graduated college twice over? Is there an age limit though?
That's so I know that the requirement is you have to have graduated within a year, but I'm not sure if that requirement is with undergrad or grad, or if there is a kind of age max. I'm not positive.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I know if you're in your 20s at least and you just graduated undergrad even a year ago, you can still apply. So,
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, as long as you're in college, but like, let's say like, if you're done with college, like myself, you cannot go back to it. You have to be in college.
I think so, or at least
Okay.
within a year out.
Okay. And then there's no age limit as long as you're in college. It's okay.
That I'm not positive
Yeah.
about.
I'll have to
Yeah.
check into that, because that's a good question. I was like, what
Mhm.
if you're like 40 or 15, you go to college and
Yeah.
you want to do Disney College program?
Yeah.
I'll have to look on that one. I was just curious. I was like, I mean, like, I'm good, but I was just wondering in general, for
Mhm.
like for anybody who is listening. Also, yeah, I wanted to ask, like, so I want to ask, what is your current like life status right now? Like, are you still like, have you graduated college, or are you still a college student?
Still a college student, waiting to hear what they're going to do about fall semester
Yeah,
regarding COVID. So
yeah, absolutely.
we'll
And
see.
what year are you in now, Sarah?
So I'm about to go into my senior year,
Oh my
hopefully. We have
gosh.
school.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I hope. Like, I was wondering about that too. Like, I've heard something about the college campuses, because like my cousin actually goes to USC, so he's like,
Mhm.
he's not sure what's gonna happen either. I was like, well, at least there's online and Zoom stuff, so at least
Yeah.
it's more possible now, because I think when I went to college, we only used Skype, but we didn't
Mhm.
really, like, we had online stuff, but it's not this advanced yet. And
Right.
that's when Facebook was invented just for like college students. Like, that's how old I am from college. Like, Facebook was invented when I went to college, and it was just for college people, and you have to have the EDU. So I was just, yeah, curious about the whole college program. But and then I wanted to ask, like, if you ran into a guest, like, how would you help a guest who speaks little or no English? So I was just like curious, like, do you just find, like, you call one of the other cast members to find somebody, or I don't know, just like what your interactions with that was like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So fortunately, there are a good number of cast members who are bi or trilingual,
Hmm.
and they'll usually have like something on their name tags that
Yeah.
will tell you if they are. So, at least for guests who maybe spoke Spanish, which I think was a little more common language for the cast members to be bilingual. And typically you could find someone else in the store or call one of your like bosses to bring someone over to help.
Yeah.
Um, and then if it was for a language where you weren't sure like how to help, it could unfortunately just be slightly a game of charades.
Yeah.
A lot of pointing to the map, stuff like that. I I had one experience where a guest was asking about fireworks, but they only spoke Mandarin, and I can speak very broken Mandarin, but it
Yeah.
was this really weird mix of like horrible Mandarin and like me like
Oh,
making
that's
like
so cute.
fireworks charades. So
That's so cute. Oh, that's so sweet. At least you try, and I think that's what I always tell people. Like in the Disney parks and the Disney cruise lines, we really do try. So it's like, if we don't, we'll find somebody, and if we can't find somebody, we'll really try.
exactly,
We'll really try. We'll do a lot of pointing, a lot of Disney pointing.
a lot of Disney points.
That's that 2 point. It's that 2 pointer. Well, we're almost wrapping up here. I just had, a few more questions I just wanted to ask, and particularly because you're with the Disney College program, I just want to ask, because you were in merchandise role, like I just wanted to ask specific questions to that role to, like, give anyone an idea who wants to do
Yeah.
DCP, but in the merch role, kind of give them a little preview of like specific questions into that role. But what I want to ask is, like, were you comfortable handling cash? I know some people
Hi.
are, but just as a simple question.
Yeah, they do a good amount of training with you, and your bosses are always there to help you. You know, Disney has all their great ways to make sure cash gets kept safe. They
Yeah.
teach you something called the Disney count to
Oh,
get change, and then the register always tells you the exact change. Like it's very hard to mess it up. So
oh
yeah,
wow. So it's like very high technology.
yeah,
If
like
I'm afraid of cash, I can be in the merch role.
they
Maybe
make it
maybe not.
very
Maybe not, but more extra training. But
yeah.
okay, that's cool. That's good to know. I didn't know that, like, so they give you like extensive training on that, so to get you comfortable with working with the cash if you choose to. Oh, that's awesome. And then I wanted to ask this, like, what would you do if a guest was looking for a specific item, but you are out of that item, or you don't sell that item? Like, what was
Yeah.
your normal response, or your normal reaction to it, or response to the guest about that?
Yeah, so every store had a couple iPads that were like attached to Disney World's like giant database of every single store's stock.
Mm,
So across all the resorts, Disney Springs, all the worlds, even like Shop Disney online, like we had access to the stock numbers, so we could look up that specific item if we didn't have it, and then send them exactly where they needed to go. And it was really great, of course, because we weren't going to send them to where it was also out of stock. That being said, if we couldn't find, this is terrible, but if we couldn't find something on that, and we just had no idea what to get for in my location, because I was in these smaller stores towards the front of the park,
yeah,
we could just say go to Mouse Gear, which was the biggest store in Epcot. So every like
really
main park had like this big store. So if it's Magic Kingdom, it's the Emporium. And if you worked outside of the Emporium, you could just say go to the Emporium. Like if you're
nice.
really at a loss. So
That's
I don't know what they
that's
did.
what I love about Disney.
Yeah.
Like, we might not know the answers for everything, but we can tell you the answer of where to go get it. And I
Mhm.
just feel like that's a perfect example of how the cruise line is and how the college program is. Like, we don't know the answer for you. We got your back. We'll find you. We'll find you the answer. So that's perfect. Like,
Exactly.
that's such a perfect example of that. And then, are you comfortable suggesting items to guests based on first impressions?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I would only suggest, I think, items to guests just based on looking at them if they were wearing like a certain shirt
Yeah.
or like princess dress, right? So if a little girl was wearing like a Belle dress, I'd be like, oh, is Belle your favorite princess? Like, are you looking for Belle merchandise, something like that?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if they didn't have any sort of characters or IP on their clothing, I would just ask them like, hey, like, what's your favorite Disney movie? Or hey, buddy, what's your favorite character? And then it's pretty easy to figure out what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And then my last question, like, I know we talked about it earlier a little bit when you were talking about your interview process, and it's maybe a question I just want to kind of get a little bit more in depth to, a little more meat to. Are you willing to work independently outdoors at a cart, like one of the merch carts? How comfortable were it with you, and did you have experience doing that?
Yeah. So there were three carts, I want to say three carts in my area where you would be based alone. And the only thing I didn't like about that is when you had to use the restroom or refill your water bottle, you had to call someone to come like
Mm,
cover for a little bit. And I always just felt bad doing that.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, it was fun. Like you would find ways to keep yourself busy. I know one cart in particular was right outside the Baymax meet and greet.
yeah.
In Epcot, like near Soren and stuff like that. And there was always a Mickey glove there. So when it was slow and I was bored and had no one to talk to, I just grabbed the Mickey glove. And then every kid that like walked by would be like, want a high four? Um, so you find ways to keep yourself entertained. And I mean, you have a phone with you, so you can call for backup at any point.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Well, I know we're just like wrapping up, and like I just think it's fun, like how the Disney College Program and Disney Cruise Lines, we don't fall far from the apple tree at all. Like the apple doesn't fall from the tree, if I can, if the metaphor is that correct. But like we have such similarities. Like I like when you're like for the bathroom, like we have to do that as well, like in the kids club as well. Like we need, if we need backup, like for any, like to like we have to, because we have the supervision spots as you have for the cart, like we have to have someone cover our spots, we have to call in for backup. But I like that we have that similarity, and then mainly a lot of the similarities is like that I like that both of our programs have, or both of our jobs has with Disney, the company, is that the lifelong time friends for sure that you meet, and like just the magic, and like I just feel like any Disney role or any Disney job with a Disney company, I feel like we all are cut from the same background. Like we really generally do care about the Disney guests. We really generally do care about Disney in general. So
Yeah.
and I just, but just to like, in closing with that, Sarah, I just want to say thank you so much for, joining me today, and just answering all the questions related to Disney College Program, because I've been so curious for years. I feel like it's like a top secret no one knows much about, and I really want to know about more. And just, so the question I have to ask is, which is better, DCL or DCP? Well, find out for part two. Sarah will be posting part two on Rethink Your Childhood. I'll put it also on the podcast as well, and also YouTube as well for Cruising the Magical Seas. But I just want to say thank you for joining me, and I just really, I appreciate this, Sarah. And if anyone, or if you have any questions for Sarah and I, feel free to DM me on Instagram at Cruising the Magical Seas. Come find me on TikTok as Cruising the Magical Seas with all the Disney Cruise Line fun. And I'm gonna have Sarah one more time drop all her socials, all her projects for one last time. So you definitely need to be following Sarah for all things Disney and all things Disney related. So I'll have Sarah drop her socials there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's just at Rethink Your Childhood. And I ask polls like for what type of videos people want, drop pictures of me on my program. I have a ton of different costumes, ton of hilarious ride photos, because that's one thing actually that you learn. Best secret of working at Disney World, you get so familiar with the rides. Every time you go on with your friends, you pose like differently, and like you bring stuffed animals, you bring maps, like you just make it a good time. So if you want to see those, follow me. And then for my YouTube right now, it's just a couple analytical videos where I kind of get nitty gritty about, my thoughts on, say, the Splash Mountain retheme. I'm going to release a video, I think, this upcoming Friday about other possible rides that could have racial undertones, and what I think Disney should do about that. And then I'll have some more lighthearted videos, of course, that are just all my stories of like me crying at Disney World, me having a great time, more secrets, more about the process, anything like that. So follow Rethink Your Childhood on YouTube too. Also, so you can see the wonderful interview I had with Liz.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And thanks again, Oceaneers, for joining Sarah and I. I hope you had a good time with us and enjoyed what we had to say about Disney College Program and everything like that. Look for part two. It's going to be coming up for Disney Cruise Line. So Sarah will be flipping the script, and she'll be actually giving my thoughts about what is it really working like on the cruise ship with quarantine and all that. So again, thanks for joining us, Sarah, and we will see you real soon.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Hey Oceaneers, thanks for joining Sarah and I for this wonderful interview. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it answered all your questions about the Disney College Program, and also sneak peek of what it's like to be a cast member with the Disney College Program. Follow for interview part 2 with Sarah interviewing me on her YouTube channel. That's Rethink Your Childhood. On her channel, Rethink Your Childhood, for that interview where Sarah asks me all the Disney cruise ship secrets and experiences of what it's like to be a cast member on the Cruising the Magical Seas on Disney cruise ships. Hope you like this, and hope you follow me again on Instagram and TikTok, Cruising the Magical Seas. Again, follow and like on Sarah for her YouTube and her Instagram at Rethink Her Childhood, or Rethink Your Childhood. Rethink Your Childhood is what it is. And have a magical night, everyone. See you real soon.